3:14 a.m. Strait of Hormuz. The first warning inside the destroyer's Combat Information Center is not an alarm. It is a sound, low, repeating, clean enough to cut through the shipping noise. Too steady to be random, too controlled to ignore. The sonar operator leans closer to the screen and listens again through one earphone. Possible submerged contact. Bearing 042. Classification uncertain. No one reacts loudly. No one needs to. The room changes anyway. Voices drop. Chairs roll closer to consoles. A tactical officer steps behind the sonar station and watches the green lines move across the display. Outside, the destroyer keeps slicing through the black water at steady speed. Bridge glass reflects dim red light. White spray runs low along the bow. On the surface, the transit looks routine. Below the surface, it is not. Hormuz is never quiet. Tankers drag deep engine noise through the channel. Cargo ships beat heavy propeller patterns into the shallow water. Heat, salt, and current bend sound in bad ways. In this place, the sea can hide almost anything. That matters. The operator runs the sound through the library again. Slow shaft turn. Very low cavitation. Controlled depth. Not a merchant ship. Not fishing traffic. Not a drifting engine. Not debris. Military. The captain steps into CIC without asking for a summary. He reads the room in one look. Range. Still developing, sir. Passive only. No firm lock. That is the danger. They can hear something. They know it is there. They do not yet know exactly where. On the main screen, the destroyer continues down its transit line through one of the most watched waterways on Earth. Merchant lanes lie off both sides. Iranian coast to the north. Oman to the south. Shore radar, patrol craft, civilian traffic, and crowded water all packed into a narrow piece of sea. It takes very little for pressure to become a crisis here. Then the picture changes. A second operator calls from the towed array console. Bearing drift is holding. Contact is moving with us. The sonar supervisor does not look away from the display. Market, build track history. No active. The order passes cleanly across the room. No one panics. The destroyer does not turn. Turning now would tell the contact it has been heard. Turning would give away uncertainty. So the ship holds course and keeps listening. That is the first answer. On the bridge, the officer of the deck watches the dark lane ahead through the glass. Tanker lights burn far to port like a small city floating in the night. An aft lookout reports nothing on the surface close aboard. The captain stays in CIC. This is where the fight is forming. At 3:18, the sound changes. Not louder, sharper. A brief increase in shaft rate, then steady again. The sonar operator speaks carefully. Contact corrected course. New projected line crosses closer to our base track. The tactical action officer does the math in his head, then says it flat. He is not just sitting down there. He is shaping space. That matters. A submarine in Hormuz can watch from distance and collect. It can sit deep and silent and let the surface picture pass overhead. But a submarine that changes line to meet a destroyer's path is doing something else. This is deliberate. The captain keeps his eyes on the plot. Wake the air detachment. Prep the Seahawk. Keep passive track. I want the picture before he gets closer. Orders move through steel. On the hangar deck, sailors in helmets and float coats run toward the MH-60R Seahawk. The helicopter sits folded and dark under low work lights. In a few minutes, it will be the destroyer's longest reach over the water. Below decks, the anti-submarine team keeps pulling data together. Hull sonar, towed array, navigation tracks of nearby merchant ships, acoustic clutter zones, water depth, traffic lanes. Every small piece matters. In shallow water, small mistakes become blind spots. At 3:22, a second layer appears. Surface contacts, port side, wide, the bridge reports. 2 fast boats coming out of the northern lane. Speed increasing. The captain glances at the surface picture. 2 small returns, low and quick, begin cutting across the dark water from the Iranian side. They're still outside immediate danger distance. They are not random. Their timing is bad enough to matter. On bridge-to-bridge radio, the destroyer issues the first warning. Coalition warship transiting international waters. Maintain safe separation. State your intentions. No reply. Still no reply. The geometry tightens. One problem below the water, two on the surface. All of it in a narrow channel. That is how pressure is built in Hormuz. Not with one loud move, with layers. At 3:25, the Seahawks rotors start turning. On the flight deck, red lights wash over gray metal. Tie-down chains come free. The helicopter rises into the dark and banks out over the strait, low and fast. Inside the aircraft, the sensor operator links into the destroyer's data feed. One submerged contact. Track uncertain. Closing line. Two fast surface contacts wide to port. No weapons indication. No confirmed hostile act. But the pattern is wrong. Back in CIC, the sonar operator lifts one hand. Contact is quieter now. Battery boat profile possible. The captain looks over. Say again. Possible diesel-electric. Very low machinery noise. Not nuclear. That sharpens a picture fast. A diesel-electric boat in shallow, crowded water is a hard problem. It can disappear into bottom clutter. It can sit nearly silent on battery. And in the Strait of Hormuz, that means it can get close before a surface ship sees the whole shape of the threat. The P-8 Poseidon already orbiting well outside visual range checks into the data net. Its crew starts comparing the narrow signature against stored profiles. A few seconds later, the first answer comes back. Profile consistent with Iranian Fateh-class submarine. Confidence medium. Medium is enough to change posture, not enough to start a fight. The destroyer still holds course. The ship keeps moving. The two fast boats continue in. Bridge to bridge sends a second warning. Alter course now. Maintain distance from U.S. warship. Acknowledge. Still no reply. On the bridge wing, machine gun crews move into position near their mounts. Not aiming wildly. Not waving weapons around. Just ready. This is not revenge. This is control. At 3:29, the Seahawk drops its first sonobuoy, then a second, then a third. Each one hits the black water and comes alive in the network. On the screen inside CIC, MTC slowly becomes a pattern. A listening line starts to form ahead of the contact projected route. Another off the destroyer's port side. A third farther out near the shipping lane. The helicopter is not chasing a point. It is building a fence. Buoy 1 live. Buoy 2 receiving. Buoy 3 possible low-frequency return. The sonar supervisor freezes a signal, compares it, then nods once. That's him. The captain watches the bearing history update. The contact is moving slowly, carefully, not fast enough to look reckless, not far enough away to be harmless. That is professional submarine work. Come in quiet. Stay hard to classify. Force the surface ship to decide first. At 3:33, the P-8 sends a tighter assessment. Fateh-class profile. Now medium-high confidence. Single contact. No second submarine indicated. One boat. That simplifies the picture. It does not reduce the danger. The tactical action officer studies the track. If he keeps this line, he crosses toward our projected path from port to starboard. That gives him angle. Nobody says the next part out loud. A submarine does not need to fire to create pressure. Position is the first weapon, and the contact below is working for position. The fast boats on the surface split formation. One stays wider. The other begins cutting closer across the destroyer's bow line. This is deliberate. The surface pressure is trying to pull attention up while the main threat stays below. The captain sees it immediately. Do not let the surface picture steal the fight, he says. Keep primary on the submarine. That changes everything. It means the destroyer will not take the bait. It will not waste the whole ship's attention on what is visible, while the real danger stays in the dark under the keel. At 3:36, the sonar operator hears the first real mistake from below. Contact increasing speed, slightly, bearing rate changing. In underwater warfare, speed is a confession. The faster a submarine moves, the more water it pushes, the more machinery it gives away, the more the ocean starts talking for it. That matters. The tactical action officer leans in. He is trying to close the firing geometry. The captain answers at once. Seahawk, move to dipping position. Maintain standoff. No weapons posture. Above the water, the helicopter banks left, slows, and settles over Black Sea. Spray kicks out under the rotor wash. Cable unspools. The dipping sonar goes down. Inside the helicopter, the crew waits through a few seconds of static and broken returns. Then the ocean answers. A hard mechanical trace. The sensor operator speaks into his mic without raising his voice. Strong submerged return. Contact maneuvering. Inside CIC, the destroyer's sonar team sees it at the same time. The contact dives slightly deeper and shifts its nose off the original line. That is not background noise. A drifting contact does not react to a search pattern. A submarine does. Confirmed submarine, the captain says. No one celebrates. No one looks surprised. They react with precision. At 3:39, the bridge sends a third warning to the fast boats. You're operating in an unsafe manner. Alter course immediately. Maintain separation. Still no reply. One of the boats now rides parallel on the destroyer's port beam, just outside the line where it can force a direct close pass. The second stays farther out, pacing. Their hulls throw white lines through the dark water. They are not charging. They are not leaving. They are helping create pressure. Then electronic warfare reports a new signal. Intermittent search radar from the North Shore. Possible targeting support. No fire control lock. That is the new layer. Submarine below. Fast boats on the surface. Shore radar watching from land. The destroyer is now inside a full Iranian pressure picture. The captain does not move from his place in CIC. Log every emission. Keep the bridge steady. No unnecessary maneuver. Outside, the ship's wake stays straight. At 3:43, the Seahawk drops more sonobuoys ahead of the submarine. Not where it is, where it wants to go. That is the difference between chasing and hunting. The new buoys hit and activate. For several seconds, nothing. Then one pings back with a stronger passive line. Alpha on buoy 5, the hello operator says. Contact turning again. The submarine is trying to slide under the acoustic mess made by a westbound tanker. It is a smart move. Merchant traffic in Hormuz creates broken sound, heavy propeller wash, and bad listening angles. A diesel-electric boat can use that noise like cover. But tonight the U.S. crew is already there. Inside CIC, the tactical picture sharpens. The submarine is now inside a range where its geometry matters in a very direct way. Not a weapon. Release range confirmed. Not yet, but enough to force a decision soon if it keeps coming. The captain speaks flatly. Inform the Commodore. Condition ASW. Weapons tight. Across the ship, posture changes with almost no sound at all. More watchstanders come in. Weapon crews settle deeper into readiness. Radar operators hold their lanes. The bridge stays calm. The ship keeps moving. That is the answer. At 3:47, the Fateh-class boat makes its second mistake. A thin, brief radar contact appears on the destroyer's surface search scope off the port bow line. Small, low, gone almost at once. The surface warfare coordinator looks up, possible mast or periscope. Bearing matches submerged track. That matters. A mast up in this moment means a submarine wants a surface look. It wants to check spacing, angle, maybe speed, maybe identity. It also means it is close enough to risk showing part of itself. The captain does not hesitate. Prepare active burst. This is not an attack. It is a warning written in sound. The sonar team aligns the bearing. A single short pulse goes into the black water. Not a long active search. Not a panic move. One clean message. We know where you are. The return comes back strong. Active return confirmed. The sonar operator says, Fateh-class contact, port bow quarter, deeper than expected, crossing toward our future track. The room goes still for half a second. The geometry is now real. If this were war, this is the kind of position that gets studied very hard. The submarine reacts at once. It drops deeper and turns away from the strongest part of the beam. Professional, controlled, fast. But that is still confirmation. A ghost does not evade. A submarine does. At 3:50, the P-8 sends the next update. High confidence Iranian Fateh-class submarine. Maneuver profile recorded. Contact responding active and dipping sonar. Now, the Americans are not just tracking the boat. They are taking its fingerprints. Speed changes. Depth reactions. Turning habits. Use of shipping noise. Mass behavior. Everything goes into the file. In undersea warfare, that is gold on the surface. The closer fast boat finally answers radio traffic, not with compliance. A short transmission in broken English. U.S. warship. You are near Iranian waters. Change course. The officer of the deck answers without heat. Negative. We are in international waters. Maintain safe distance. The fast boat says nothing else. It keeps coming. Still no one panics. At 3:53, the submarine cuts inward again. Not much. Just enough. The tactical action officer looks at the updated plot and says what everyone sees. The line is crossed. He is inside projected attack geometry. No weapon indication. No torpedo transit. No tube flood confirmed. But the position itself is enough. A submarine this close under this angle is no longer just observing. The captain gives the next order in the same calm voice he has used all night. Seahawks, cede the exit lane. Bridge, make 10 degrees right and hold. Spoil his picture. Keep speed steady. The destroyer turns just enough to change the solution without breaking the transit. Not a panic turn. Not a dramatic dodge. A measured move. That matters. The ship is not running. It is forcing the submarine to solve the problem again while staying on mission. Above, the helicopter drops 2 more buoys ahead of the submarine's likely escape path, then a third wider south, closing the route under the tanker lane. The P-8 shifts its orbit slightly and starts feeding new bearing cuts. The box gets smaller. At 3:57, the submarine makes the third mistake. A sharp metallic transient comes through the destroyer's sonar. Short, mechanical, from the forward section. The sonar operator lifts one hand. Transient, bow area, could be door movement, could be trim, uncertain. No one overreacts. But nobody ignores that sound either. The captain turns his head slightly. Any launch transient? Negative. Very well. Maintain weapons tight. No release without confirmed hostile act. That is discipline. In this kind of water, with this much traffic, one rush decision can start something far larger than the moment in front of the ship. The U.S. answer stays controlled. On the bridge, the 2 fast boats now reach their closest point of approach. One cuts across the port quarter at unsafe distance. The other rides almost beam, wake flashing white under deck lights. Gunners track them but do not fire. The destroyer sends a 4th warning. Unsafe approach. Alter course now, or you'll be subject to defensive measures. No reply. Then the picture changes again. A small airborne contact lifts off from the Iranian coast and heads low over the water. Not fast, not high, likely a surveillance drone. It is another set of eyes tied into the same pressure picture. Air contact low north, inbound but holding shore side. Air watch reports. Submarine below. Fast boats close. Shore radar north. Drone overhead. This is layered on purpose. They are forcing decisions. The captain stays with the main problem. Mark the drone. Keep primary on the submarine. At 4:01, the Seahawk dips again from a new angle. The Hello crew lowers sonar right over the channel the Fateh-class needs if it wants to slip south and disappear into deeper water. This time the contact comes back almost at once. Strong return. Contact turning south. Speed low. He is trying to leave under merchant noise, the tactical action officer says. Do not crowd him, the captain answers. Just close the lanes. That line matters. A trap submarine is dangerous. The goal is not to corner it into a bad choice. The goal is to deny it good choices. This is not revenge. This is control. The fast boats finally begin to widen. Not much at first. A few degrees. Then more. Something in the American posture has registered. Maybe the helicopter above. Maybe the radio tone. Maybe the fact that the destroyer never loses its line. Whatever they came to force, they are not getting it. At 4:05, the P-8 confirms a shift. Submerged contact opening slightly south. Surface contacts easing away. Recommend continued pressure and passive collection. Approved. Inside CIC, the destroyer's team keeps building the record. The Fateh-class boat tries the tanker lane. The sonobuoy field blocks it. It turns deeper. The helicopter shifts ahead. It slows almost to a crawl. The destroyer holds a track. Every move the submarine makes is now teaching the Americans something. At 4:09, the electronic warfare team reports the shore radar has stopped its tighter sweeps. Search only now. No fire control quality signal. The drone turns back north. One layer is falling away. The submarine is still there, but it is no longer shaping the fight. The Americans are. That is when the pressure starts running in the other direction. At 4:12, the Fateh-class changes course cleanly away from the destroyer's path. No inward cut. No attempt to recover angle. Just a slow, controlled move southeast toward water that gives it more room. The sonar operator marks it. Contact opening range. A few seconds later, the helicopter confirms. Alpha moving outbound. Still submerged. Still quiet. The captain exhales once, not in relief, in confirmation. Keep him held until he is outside the screen. The ship does not celebrate. The destroyer does not chase deep into the lane. It stays on transit. It keeps the submarine in a control box just long enough to make sure the problem is actually over. On the bridge, dawn begins to touch the eastern horizon with a thin gray line. The water shifts from black to dark steel. Tanker hulls become shapes instead of lights. Crewmen in helmets move across the deck in the early light. The destroyer looks exactly like what it is built to be. Calm under pressure, dangerous when required, never hurried. At 4:17, the last closed fast boat turns fully north and opens distance. No dramatic sprint. No final warning. It simply leaves. The second boat follows. Their part in the challenge is over. Below the surface, the Fateh-class keeps sliding away. Sonobuoys still hear it. The P-8 still holds it. The helicopter stays just far enough to watch and just close enough to make sure it cannot turn back cleanly. That balance is deliberate. They came in hunting. Now they are falling back. At 4:21, the submarine crosses beyond the most dangerous part of the destroyer's inner screen. Still tracked. Still recorded. No longer in position to pressure the ship without exposing itself again. The tactical action officer gives the update. Closest point passed. Contact remains outbound. The captain nods once. Return to steady ASW shadow. Keep the transit. That is the final answer. The destroyer does not stop. It does not ask permission from the water around it. It does not give away fear. The ship keeps moving. Hours later, intelligence teams will break the event apart second by second. They will study the first passive line, the speed increase, the mass pop, the reaction to active sonar, the attempt to use tanker noise, the turn south, the timing of the fast boats, the drone launch, the radar support, all of it. They will learn how the Fateh-class behaves under pressure near a U.S. warship in one of the most dangerous narrow seas on Earth. That is the part most people never see. The attack fails long before any explosion. It fails when the enemy loses the ability to shape the fight. It fails when the destroyer keeps the picture, keeps the lane, keeps the mission, and forces the other side to back away first. By 4:28, the sun is still low, but the sharpest part of the encounter is over. The destroyer clears the narrowest section of the transit line. The sonar team keeps one last passive hold on the submarine as it moves farther into water that no longer gives a clean shot. The helicopter circles once more over the wake. The P-8 widens orbit. The radar scopes settle. The bridge stays steady. No torpedo is fired. No missile is launched. No American sailor loses control. No one on the destroyer gives the submarine what it came for. The Fateh-class challenged a U.S. destroyer in the Strait of Hormuz. It came in low, careful, and dangerous. It used shallow water, merchant traffic, surface pressure, and shore support to get close enough to matter. It still failed. The destroyer never lost a picture. The screen held. The ship held course. The pressure broke on the American side last. That is what the platform was built to do. So here's the question. Should the U.S. have pushed harder once the submarine showed intent, or was holding control the stronger message? Drop your take in the comments.